Today we'll talk about facilities, about facility planning. So what is so important? Why facilities is so important for manufacturing process? Because the quality of your facilities, it will give you the competitive edge, or it will give you some advantages over your competitor. All right. However, to have fully utilize your resources, especially when it comes to facilities, um, one objective we try to reach when it comes to designing your facilities is to improve your quality and productivity. Quality is more on your services, more on the appearance or experience by your customer. Productivity is more on the factory side, more on your production floor, the quantity they can produce, right? So factory design later we'll see on calculation on these two parameters. Okay. This is another example of factory design, of facilities design. What I show you here is a Changi Airport facilities. Where you go into the airport, I can't find KLIA layout, so this is the one that I can find. So you go into any airport, right? A good airport or a well-designed airport. You manage to identify the area of your needs. For example, if you go into the airport, you know where to find taxi stand or bus stand. You know where to find your groceries if you want to go shopping. You know that there is a certain floor that you can buy free tax item, and there is a section where you can go and um, buy food and all this. Okay, so there's a very clear section of area with a specific function in that particular building. All right. So this is an example of we talk about facilities design. So why certain airport they are so people like to go there, right? Why certain airport they are not crowded and people try to avoid that airport. So for example that, and you can relate all these with shopping mall, right? You can relate this one to shopping mall. You can relate this one to for example, IKEA or IKEA. So this, all right. Now talk about definition first, right? Definition. The first definition that we will talk about today is facilities layout. What mean by the word layout? The layout is arrangement of area. Okay, facilities layout is an arrangement of area. So when it comes to your test one or your final exam, when they ask you to do facilities layout, means what we expect you to do some calculation and then arrange the function or the machine to a certain area based on a certain criteria that we base. Right? So this is a definition for facilities layout. All this you can read. It involves facilities, it can involve activities, department, and so on. Yeah? So, because I myself, I'm from aerospace or aeronautics industry. So, as you can see here, is a production floor of an aircraft, right? So, I highlight here the basic objective of layout is to make sure you have a smooth production flow, a smooth flow of your process. Okay. Now, today we're going to focus on how to make sure our flow is smooth. There's a strategy, there's a tools for you to make sure you have a smooth flow in the facilities that you have. Okay, so with this in mind, we will come into calculation. Right, your main objective of having layout design is to have a smooth flow and also the quality and productivity of your production flow. So these are the benefit of having a good layout or effective layout. So these are the criteria, or there are some benefit of having effective layout. So I think I won't mention all. You can read from the slides. All this you can read from the slides. There are quite a lot. All this you can read from the slides here. Right? I think most of them, they are self-explainable. Right? So an effective layout, maybe I pick the first one. You utilize your labor efficiently. Right? What I mean by efficiently? What I mean by efficient means you use the least resources to achieve your objective. All right. Um, Eliminate bottleneck. Bottleneck means bottleneck means you know the shape of the bottle, right? The neck is very narrow. Means you will come to a point where there's no breakthrough for the production. There's no breakthrough for the quality, and your design team stuck there. Like nobody have our idea how to do it better anymore. So you can look at your layout. Is there any alternative or creative way to arrange your machine and also people so that you can change the way you produce things? And the rest you can read. Okay. Okay. Next, we look about the process layout. Just now they have two. Okay. One is facilities layout. Okay. Facilities layout is about facilities. So what does it mean by facilities layout? It related to all these activities, area, your facility, more on the area, more on the area and activity, right? Facilities layout. Now we look at one more terms, also come with layout, but we change the wording, become process layout. Okay, so we have facility layout, we have process layout, we have two. So when we talk about process layout is focused on function in that particular space. Okay, facilities layout, more on the facilities, a broader definition. But we come to process layout, we focus on the wording process itself. Okay. Or another word that you can find in other textbook, they also use functional layout. Okay. All right. So what actually is this process layout, and what are the examples? So I give you an example of services. All right. Process layout in the services. One of the typical example for process layout is the shopping mall. The shopping mall, you go to any brand of the shopping mall, you will have, even you go to Eon, right? Ion or Eon department store. You go there, there's a department. You go into the section where they sell clothes. Then they will have shoe section, jewel sections, men department, children department, women, and so on. Okay, so this is example, a simplified example of what is the process layout. Okay. And again, process layout focus on function of that particular area. Okay, in this one is more on the products, but each section or each area here serve different purposes. For example, shoes means you serve only for the leg section, the lower part of your body section, and the children more on the age of your customer, means all your products that for those less than maybe 7 years old, they park over here, and all the adults they divide into women and men's department. Okay. So this is an example of process layout. Okay, what about process layout in manufacturing? So this is the example of how we do process layout in manufacturing or in the factory production floor. So this is only an example where you break the area of the whole factory into area 1, area 2, area 3, area 4, area 5, area 6, and area 7. And each area will give you a different processing or different process area if you go to each that particular area. Okay, if you can see here, this diagram, before you come to assembly, the parts will go to receiving. If you follow the arrow, the whole process start with here. We start with the receiving and shipping, meaning all the raw material coming here, and then you go to the left, go into the late department, and each part will go into different arrow. Means it can be represent a different part, different parts, different component. Okay, red arrow represent one component. This purple color, purple color represent one component. So you will go to process and then go to the late machine 1, 2, 3, and then you come out. Then go to the milling, then go into drilling, then go into grinding, and then go to the last part, painting, and go into assembly line, and then go to shipping. Okay, now process layout is focused on function or process. So think of two examples. One is the shopping mall, your department, right? Different department. Another one is on the factory floor that I show you this one, right? Different processes. Each area gives you different processes. Any questions so far? Any question on the process layout?
No, sir.
Everyone good, yeah? All right. Let's watch one video about process function. You try to identify how many processes involved to make a garment or clothes. In this case, it's a pen, jeans pen. Okay, let's watch this video.
Jeans were invented not long after the California gold rush, when a certain Mr. Levi Strauss began making miners' denim work pants with copper rivets. To say he came up with a winner is something of an understatement. 450 million pairs are sold every year in the US alone, and worldwide the denim market is worth around $40 billion. But every pair of jeans has made an amazing journey from the cotton field to the high street store. Those jeans are made here in Tehuacan. This is Mexico's largest jeans factory and produces designs for most of the famous American brands, churning out 400,000 pairs every month. A typical pair of 5-pocket jeans uses 15 pieces of cloth. So they first stack the denim into piles of 100 sheets, ready for each piece of the design to be cut. It's up to pattern layer Antonio Martinez to make sure that as little material as possible is wasted. Using a computer, he can limit the offcuts to just 7%. Once he's happy, the pattern is printed onto paper. Next, the design is rolled out over the denim. This stage is more like carpentry than tailoring, and with the denim 100 sheets deep, any mistake will be costly. Once cut, it's like a military operation, with an army of jean genies assigned to one specific task. Each pair of jeans takes 15 minutes to make and requires 1.6 meters of denim, several hundred meters of thread, 6 rivets and 1 zipper, or 5 buttons. On seam ironing duty is Marie Cruz.
I like my job a lot because there's no pressure here, unlike other areas of the factory. I iron 300 pairs a day. I like ironing, but later my back will hurt.
Marie adds the finishing touches to these spanking new jeans, but they're still not ready to grace a cowboy's behind. These days, everyone's too cool to wear jeans that look brand new. So they're about to become distressed by being slipped onto some rubber legs, blown up and given a little rough handling. In just 60 minutes, this team are going to make the jeans look like they've spent the last 5 years being dragged around a mine. So they set to work sanding in worn patches, grinding in frayed edges, and spraying on stains. Then, to add a few worn-in designer creases, it's out with a high-tech laser gun. These jeans get an even rougher ride than the Buckaroos. To give them a final hammering, they're tossed into gigantic washing machines, along with a few buckets of volcanic rock. Once dried, the jeans are now shrunken and nicely worn in. Or totally trashed, according to your point of view. After a quick press and the obligatory label, so you know whether they're designer expensive or just cheap and cheerful, they're boxed and ready to be shipped to budding Bronco busters everywhere.
Okay. Now, basically, by this video, you know that there are different kinds of process, right? Although you can't see the whole picture, but from the video itself, you know that for the whole factory itself, when you walk inside there, you will see a lot of section of area that divided to a specific task. For example, in this video, you see a lot of process. Okay. Now I talk about process layout. There's one more keyword that we will learn today. You talk about facilities layout, right? Just now. This is the second one, process layout. The third one. The third one is product layout. The third one, product layout. By the wording itself, you know that this one, we were focusing on the products, especially we pay attention to sequence of operation. Okay? Product layout, you focus on products, and you want to make that products, it involves some specific sequence of operation. Right? Sequence 1, you do what? Sequence 2, you do what? Sequence 3, you do what? Then you get the products. This one is normally known as assembly line. Okay, assembly line. This one typically, if you have a product that it consists of many components, small components, and you need to assembly it into the final products, then it falls under product layout. Okay. So at this moment, ask yourself, just to recap, we have seen facilities layout, we have seen this one, process layout, we have seen product layout. Are you able to differentiate them? All right. So this one is just elaboration. Again, focus on the products and the sequence, and each operation, each workstation have their own requirement. And this product layout, or the word assembly line, normally apply to mass production. Mass production means you produce a high volume of output or some operation that keep repeating in the whole factory plant. So the demand is stable, volume is high. This is a criteria where product layout is suitable for. Okay, so are you able to answer if the question asks you, I'll give you a scenario, are you able to choose the correct layout to solve right, the production and quality problem? Okay? So there are a few definitions just now. So for product layout, it is for high volume, stable demand, and mass production condition. One distinctive or significant features in the assembly line nowadays in the 21st century is automation. Okay, and automation and the worker's job or worker's role is different. It's a bit different from the previous one. And in the product layout or assembly line, the worker usually they're very specific to a certain set of skills or narrowly defined, means they don't do a lot of job, they just focus on that particular section. For example, car manufacturing. If you're in the assembly line section 1, maybe your job is to make the correct screw nuts into position A, position B, position C on the engine itself. And there's a specific way of connecting the parts at your station. You are specialized in that particular area. All right, that is the distinctive, or we call it special features of assembly line. Okay. So just give you some visualization. What is a product layout? One is a car manufacturer that you will see robotics most of the production floor, and you will see some workers just working around just to check the status and the parameter set, is it correct or not, and the output, is it correct or not. All right. Advantages of this layout, it is efficiency and the ease of use. It's very easy to handle, to operate. Disadvantages is inflexibility. You imagine one production floor, if you want to change this one to a new product, you need to reset all the robotic arm movement. Right? You need some time to reprogram the whole production floor, including the workers. The worker need to retrain, and the robotic arm or the facilities in the product layout have to be reprogrammed. You have advantages and disadvantages. Okay. Advantages is efficient. Let's say the screw hole is very specifically drilled and also screwed. Or you can even put a very specific spot with filler or with epoxy and so on. Very specific area, and every time the spot is very, very, very accurate. It's called efficiency. Ease of use means very easy to use, very easy to handle. However, the flexibility is not there. Inflexibilities. Okay, so this one you can read. Major concern of this product layout is balancing the assembly line. Why? You try to imagine this is the product layout and you use the robotic arm. The process from the back will move to the front, right? The back will, after the process of the back, you'll push to the next process, you'll push the back process, it will push to the next process. What happens if one robotic arm damage, or there's or bugs in the robotic arm that do not move in that particular process? For example, the mechanism to put the cap, the chassis cap here. This section, maybe in the previous section, the welding head is not properly or out of the spec, and it do not weld properly. What do? You need to stop the whole production line and re-roll the finished product and recheck the whole process again. This is the concern when you use product layout. Okay, you have bottleneck, and because one machine broke down, you might disturb the flow of your whole production line. Okay, so this is the concern, advantages, disadvantages, and what are the character, or what is the what kind of environment can this product outline or product layout can be used? All right, it is used for low demand, uncertain production, or another one. Okay. This is a typical schematic diagram for product layout. When we draw product layout, you will see boxes to represent process or workstation, arrow to represent flow of your process. There is no jump of queue from one box to another box, and it follow from one point until exit point. You have input or your in point. There's one part for your out point. There is no arrow pointing crossing to the process. Okay, this is a product layout. Don't confuse with the one that I showed. Don't confuse with this diagram. Don't confuse with all this line. This is a production floor that tell you the process. But when we ask you to do process layout, this is the one that we expect you to give us in the assembly line. Okay? In the assembly line, this is what you expect. Mean one input, arrow, output. Okay? If there's a crossing arrow, it means it does not fall under assembly. All right? So you have some idea what is the differences. Okay, so this is a product layout that we expect from you in your final answer. So I'll give you some idea, visualize picture about how the assembly line do. For example, the automotive industry. The keyword here, or from the previous diagram, you can see that the direction only have one direction. Okay, so assembly line, another features or another characteristic is material move in one direction only. And same pattern. Material move in one direction, and they move in the same pattern. Repeat and repeat and repeat. Especially when we come to that section, they only reproduce the same results the same function, right? Okay, so this is the criteria. And you can find one of the component we call conveyor in the assembly line. Okay, so for assembly lines or product layouts, one of the key features or machine, production floor machine or delivery system, they will use conveyor system. Right. What is conveyor? You see something pulling the car. Right. This is called conveyor. And here also can moving, right? You see this one can move, right? It's called conveyor. All these are just definition of conveyor, right? There are two types of conveyor. One is paced, P-A-C-E-D, paced, and unpaced. Unpaced. Paced, it means you can program it. You can program it so that it runs at a certain setting. Unpaced means you need to manually control by your workers. Okay? Paced and unpaced. So this one is important when you work in the industry later on, especially you deal with the assembly line, and there's a conveyor there. So this is the correct wording if you design the layout for your boss. So these are the words that you should use: paced and unpaced. Another features will be assembly work can be done online and offline. Don't confuse with your IT definition. When the workers say the assembly line is online, it means the work is done on the conveyor itself. It's not using internet. If your workers or your colleague in the production floor tell you, yes, now the product is online, it doesn't mean that it is on the internet. If they say that, okay, the assembly work is now online, it means that the product is currently produced on the conveyor. For example, it means in the production floor is running, it's still running. Okay. Offline means you need to take the component and walk the component to a table to fix the things or to assembly the things. It is not on the flow of the process. You need to stop the process, take the part, put on the table or put on the workstation, do some things at the workstation, put it back. Right? The time you take the component from the conveyor to the workstation, when the component at the workstation, the work that you done on the workstation, that we call offline. Okay, the keyword online means it linked to the flow of the process. Okay, if you say that it works offline, means you can find the component on the workstation itself. Okay, so online, offline. Okay. Okay, there are some keywords here, just to recap. Paste, unpaste, online, offline. Okay. Then these are the words that you can compare. What is the production layout? Product layout and process layout. Okay. In this table, you can compare side by side. Right? So in the test of finance, I give you a scenario, I give you some characteristics that you can relate to, and you think, you do analysis, which one to go. Okay? Yeah. since in Manipal, we are using exam software where you are not able to access to material except the question paper. So make sure you do your revision carefully. All right. So there's no once your mouse move outside the website monitor, or you go and access website or go and accept any files on your computer, the system will going to stop, and you need a specific password for me to resume the test of an exam. Okay, I think you experienced about that one, huh? Just to remind you about the system you're going to use. Okay, now for product layout, volume is high, process layout is low, and the rest you can read from the slides. Okay, the purpose also same, equipment also different. Okay, description, type of process, products, demand, volume, and equipment. I think this one is very direct to explain the both things, right? So you read from the slides itself. Okay, this is 1 to 6. There are other criteria that you can read from the slides also. Workers, inventory. Inventory means storeroom, or inventory, a more proper word. It's not only storeroom, it's a space that you do your work. Inventory. All right. Storage space, scheduling, advantages. Advantages. So you can see here, product layout is more focused on efficiency. Process layout is more on flexibility. All right. All right. So point 1 to point 15, I will let you go and read after the class. Right. The material is available to you. Okay. I think we have a short break here. All right. I stop the recording.